Hello there, welcome to part 2 of this week's Talking Europe. We are speaking to the Foreign Minister of the Catalan regional government at the end of a very turbulent week for the region. Raul Romeva, thank you very much for being with us here on France 24 today.
Thank you for calling us.
Now, this is quite a fast-moving situation. Just to let our viewers know that we are recording this on Friday, September 22nd, and at this point, 14 Catalan government officials who were arrested on suspicion of organising an illegal referendum have been released. The National Police have also seized 10 million ballots and more than 1 million posters and referendum flyers and other materials have been seized. In all, the tension between Madrid and Barcelona could not be more palpable. Tens of thousands of people have been demonstrating against Madrid's actions in recent days in Barcelona and beyond. The issue has, of course, been front page news all across Spain, Europe and the rest of the world. So, Raul Romeva, first question to you. At this point, do you feel that this situation is likely to escalate further?
Well, in terms of what we expect to do, that is the referendum, I am convinced that the people is not gonna give back. The determination of both the government, that means the institutions, but also the people, is there. We have always said that what we're doing, and that's the first thing I want to say, it is not illegal. We are doing something that is not illegal, that is legitimate, that is according to the Constitution as well, that is foreseen as one of the mandates we have given by the population in the elections, which means that we are doing what we are meant to do. The second thing is that we always said that we want to do this, and we have demonstrated that we are doing this in a peaceful way, in a radically peaceful way. That has been always the situation, and that's what we would like to have also from the side of the state. The problem is, and that is something that we need to note, is that the response we are having from the state is really very worrying. Not only a question of threats, so far there were only threats, now what we have is actions. Detaining people for not committing any crime, it's a violation of the more fundamental rights that you can imagine.
Well, in terms of Madrid's response, was it not somehow rather foreseeable that Madrid would respond in this kind of way? Catalonia held an unofficial referendum a couple of years ago that Madrid clearly said it didn't approve of, didn't sanction. The Constitutional Court, the government, have clearly said many times that they rule this referendum to be unconstitutional. Was it not foreseeable for the Catalan regional government that if you kept pushing, then Madrid would push back in this way?
Well, that shows what kind of state we are in. We are insisting in the fact that the Constitution is not banning at all. It does not ban the organization of a referendum.
That's not what many Spanish legal experts would say, though.
Well,
many have lined up to say that constitutional experts have lined up to say that it is illegal under the Spanish Constitution.
Some constitutional experts say this, many other constitutional experts say the contrary, not only in Spain. We have many legal advisors that are telling, not only in Spain but also outside Spain, that the Constitution allows perfectly the organization of such a referendum. It's not banned, it's nothing that is written. The constitutions are interpretable. And also this one, it's not specific place in the Constitution, it's nowhere that you can see that the referendum is not possible. Obviously, if you interpret this in a way that restricts that right, that obviously have consequences. But we are saying that at least this should be interpreted politically, not legally. Legally speaking, there is no case. Legally speaking, there is nothing that you can consider to be inappropriate, not only in the Constitution, but also on the penal code. So responding to this by legal means is completely inappropriate, but even more than this. The problem is not the legality of that situation, but the response that the state is providing. The constant violations of even the constitutional norms, and that is the fantastic situation, that is the amazing thing, is that they are violation They are violating the Constitution, trying to defend the Constitution. We are talking about fundamental rights, freedom of expression, freedom of vote, freedom of reunion, the freedom of the secrecy of mails, obviously the freedom of press. These are fundamental rights in the constitutions that the Spanish state is violating in order, according to them, to preserve the Constitution. That is the paradox. If somebody believes that by doing so, the people will give back its democratic commitment, I have to say that they have a very misunderstanding of the situation.
Now, you mentioned there that these aspects of the Constitution are negotiable. There's always room for negotiation. The president of Catalonia spoke to France 24 just a couple of days ago, Carles Puigdemont. He mentioned this idea of Catalonia being open to discussing other options with Madrid. Let's just take a quick listen to what he said.
A
majority of Catalans do not agree with the relationship between Catalonia and Spain. The Catalan side is proposing a solution to improve this relationship. We propose independence. But we are ready to hear any other solutions proposed by the Spanish side. But when I ask the Spanish leaders, including Prime Minister Rajoy, if they have any other propositions to make, they've always said no.
So there we go, Mr. Romeva. That was Carles Puigdemont speaking to France 24 a couple of days ago about other options that could possibly be discussed. What kind of options might those be? Because up to now, all we've heard from the Catalan government side has been, we want a referendum on independence.
We are waiting for an option. We are waiting for an offer. We are waiting for a proposal that would tackle the current situation. We've been waiting for this for years. Actually, there was already a commitment, there was a compromise that was called the Statute of Catalonia. It was adopted absolutely following all the legal procedures. It was accorded among the different groups in the Catalan parliament. Then it was sent in the Spanish government, in the Spanish Congress, and it was voted there, even if it was amended. It came back and it was adopted in a referendum. And despite this, the Partido Popular brought it to the Constitutional Court. So they broke a compromise. Despite all this, we have demanded constantly, try to make an offer that would be discussed here. There has not been an offer at all. There are two projects here. Our proposal on the table is, we propose to hold the referendum, to ask everybody, that's what the 80% of the population demands in Catalonia. Let's ask everybody, let's listen everybody can express themselves, and if the majority says Catalonia shouldn't be an independent state, we respect this. We accept that situation.
Can I just clarify what you're saying there about asking everybody? Do you mean everybody in Spain? Because this is independence for Catalonia would impact people in the rest of Spain as well.
What we see is no specific proposal, but repression from the side of the state. That is what we have right now. Somebody says, and that's the second question you are asking, which is relevant. Would you accept a vote taking place in the whole Spain? That's another point. Let me go into this as well. Actually, let me remind, first of all, every time in the last 25 years of history, we have seen 53 referendums of self-determination. Only in one case of all those 53, there have been a vote in the whole state, which is the case in France and Algeria. In the other rest of referendums, it has always been the specific part concerned about this. If you look at what happened in Scotland, that was the Scottish who voted. If you look at what happened in the Brexit in the UK relating Brexit, they were the UK who voted, even if the consequences were for the EU. However, do you accept, they tell us, do you accept that the possibility of having a vote in the whole Spain? We have no problem with this. But then let me ask you a question. Imagine that you have that vote in the whole Spain, and you have the majority in Catalonia voting for yes to the independence, and the majority in Spain voting for no to the independence. Is the problem solved? There is a big majority in Catalonia that do not feel comfortable with the current status quo. And I insist on this because this is not about independence. This is about democracy. This is about letting the people decide what they want to do.
In the recent polls that we've seen in 2017, support for independence for Catalonia has fallen. That's polling carried out by your own government. Why then do you want to go ahead with this referendum, which not only, it seems, doesn't have the support of a majority, but also is causing so much friction with the Spanish central state?
No, because what the polls say, old polls, is that 80% of the population wants to vote.
They want to vote, but the polling shows that a majority of people do not want independence.
But this is about democracy. I insist. This is about democracy. This is about letting the people express themselves. I want those who want independence to express themselves, and I want those who don't want to express themselves. And I want to vote because I think that's the more rational, more democratic way to solve this. If these polls are right, then what is the problem? The result of the referendum will be no. End of story. So why to worry about?
Well, let's rewind a little bit from this current very tense situation and the talk of polls and things. Get back to the nub of the issue. Why you and so many others are pursuing independence for Catalonia, and it has been an independence movement that's existed for a long time and shared by many thousands of people. Now, there has been a warning from Spain's economy minister in recent days that Catalonia would stand to lose perhaps 30% of its wealth, unemployment would double. What's your vision of what an independent Catalonia would look like, and why are you and so many others so keen to see Catalonia break away?
First of all, sorry, I'm laughing because the credibility of that minister is really very low on his predictions. And we could go back into this, but I don't want it. On the other side, the real question is not who said this, but the point I understand is important here is the fact that what would be the future of. I once again insist, First of all, this is about democracy. This is about knowing what the people want. Secondly, in terms of what is the viability in all aspects, economical, institutional, socially, the capacity of Catalonia to be a state is out of question. It is clear that it's possible. It is demonstrated in many ways, in many aspects, that it is not a problem of capacities.
The business sector is very worried, however. We do know that there are several banks that are headquartered in Barcelona currently. Now, there is a chance that an independent Catalonia would be immediately outside the Eurozone and Europe. We'll come to that in a moment. It's not unimaginable, is it, that a bank would want to no longer be headquartered in a non-Eurozone nation?
First of all, let's be frank. In whose interest this would happen? In whose interest this would happen? In no one's. Actually, this is one of the arguments that they are using in order to threat the democracy in Catalonia. Second, there is no reason to believe that by having already the euro, you should drop the euro. The Eurozone is another thing. Obviously, we're talking about the areas of commanding all this, which means institutional organizations that are based on agreements. Is Catalonia keen to cooperate, to be part of all sort of institutions that would make the common approach easier and more comfortable for all? Absolutely, yes. So the point there is, in whose interest one region, one part of Europe that represents 2% of the GDP, that has 7.5 European Union citizens, because let's not forget that we are already citizens of the European Union, should stop being that. In nonce. What I'm saying by this is that we are confronted to a problem that can be solved very easily if there is a negotiation. Are Catalonians ready to negotiate? Of course. That's what we are demanding since decades, also with Spain. The problem is that we need somebody else to negotiate with. Second, on that aspect is also very important. Let's be frank. The European Union is a community of mutual agreements. There is nowhere in the treaties that says that one state born from existing state should disappear from the earth.
Currently, the rules seem to indicate that Catalonia would have to ask the other member states to rejoin.
It does not exist the mechanisms how to do this. So there is a mechanism, that is the call Article 45, that explains very well how to leave the European Union. That's what we are seeing right now in the Brexit case. There is a 49 article, which explains very well how to become member of the European Union when you are not member of. That's another way. There is nowhere where you can see how a new member state born from an existing member state readapts itself. That would have been the case.
But you would have to get unanimous agreement on Catalonia rejoining, and that would include Spain, which seems impossible at this point.
Let me finish. Let me finish. That would have been the case if in Scotland, the result of the referendum would have been yes. What would have been the consequences by then? 18 months of negotiations. And obviously, you start a process that needs to readapt. First of all, negotiating with the UK, that was the case, and after that, also negotiating with the other member states. What you're asking me specifically is about a veto of Spain. Now, let me tell you the other option. Is in the interest of Spain to impede Catalonia to have good relations not only with Spain but with the other members of the European Union? Not at all. Not at all. Not economically, not socially, not politically, not institutionally, not geographically. So at the end, we are talking about common interests.
We've just got time for one final question, really. If Madrid comes to the Catalan government and says, we want to negotiate, will you drop the referendum on October the 1st?
First of all, this is a big if. We are a bit upset of talking about if.
You've said you're open to negotiation, so would you drop the idea of a referendum? Exactly.
If there is a real offer. When we hear a real offer, we'll see what the offer is and we'll respond to this.
Okay.
What I am not responding is to a hypothetical offer in general.
Okay, Raul Romeva, Foreign Minister of Catalonia, thank you very much for your time. And that does wrap up this edition of Talking Europe here on France 24.